Ladies and gentlemen, today I'm with Adrian Lee. He will be fighting February 13th on One Fight Night 40 against Shozo Isojima. How's it going today?
It's going great. Fight camp's been amazing, and I'm really excited to get back into the ring.
100%. So how's life been since your last fight? It's been since September. Really outside of the ring. How's it been?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, since that fight, it was really, it was a big setback for me. To be honest, it was the first time I felt that kind of adversity inside of the ring, and ever since then, I've been, training my ass off. I've been working harder than ever each and every day, and I really feel like, since that day, I've really evolved a lot as a mixed martial artist.
What type of things have you done maybe to, clear your mind or just outside of the ring in general?
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing you're 19? Are you still 19?
Yeah, I'm still 19.
What are you doing as a 19-year-old? You know what I mean?
Not much. Since that fight, I've basically been in the gym just every single day. I'm either at the gym or I'm at home. I don't really go out much. I'm just training.
Man, that's kind of funny. Depending what you said there, I was going to say, well, are you still doing that while you're in camp? But if you're always in camp, it's
Yeah, no, I've basically been in camp since that last fight.
Did you take any time off?
I took maybe a week just to recover from some injuries, but as soon as I was ready to go, I was back in the ring. I was back in the gym.
This might be a dumb question, but I feel like I've heard guys don't do it. Do you watch film on your opponents?
I do, yeah, definitely. I watch film on all my opponents because, I think it's important to know, I understand, some people, they hear from what their coaches have to say, but I like to get that visualization and, I know what my opponent moves like, how he moves, what his tendencies are, and, I like to visualize my fight.
Yeah, so when you're doing, these film, is it a film session, or are you just, before bed, throw on one of his fights and watch it, or is it, you and Christian are sitting down and, actually breaking down his fight type of thing?
For Taira Tola, we did some of those film sessions where we broke him down, but for Shozo, we've watched a few film sessions together, where I break it down with my coaches, but it's mainly just on my own, on my free time when I'm resting at home. I'll watch his old fights, his previous ones and how he did and stuff like that.
What have you learned about Shozo specifically and his skill set that he's going to be bringing to the fight?
Yeah, looking at Shozo, what I see with him is he's just more of a grinder. I think that he's not there's nothing too dangerous about his style but I do believe that his best thing that he has going for him is his ability to just, grind, and he can just, finish out ride out a decision, or he's really good top pressure. He's good at taking guys down, holding them down. So I think that's one of the biggest threats that come from him.
How are you preparing specifically for that pressure?
Preparing for the pressure that Shozo is going to bring, we flew down a great Japanese fighter, Hidenari Saijo. He's 6-2 right now, but he's been giving me a great look for Shozo. My brother Christian Lee has given me some of the hardest rounds ever, and it's the rounds I get in with my brother can't compare to any of my fights or any rounds I can get with anyone else.
Man, that's awesome to have a partner like that at your disposal 24/7, dude. So both you and Shozo, obviously, you're both coming off a loss, and it's both to Taira Tola. Do you look back at his fight with Ty and your fight with Ty and compare the two at all?
Yeah, that's definitely something I've done. When I look back at how Taira Tola fought Shozo, he was a lot more aggressive. I think that the first fight that he had with me, he was more conservative, and then in the second fight when he went with Shozo, he was more aggressive, and he kind of went right after the bell. But Shozo, he's resilient. He took a lot of big shots from that fight with Ty, and he hung in there for a little bit. But I do believe that I'm going to beat Shozo everywhere, and I'm excited to, this is going to be my comeback fight. This fight means everything to me, and I've been training my ass off, year-round for this fight.
And I know MMA math doesn't work, but I do think you look better against Ty than Shozo did.
Yeah.
But
yeah, the thing with like MMA math, there's truth in MMA math, but it's also hard because really styles make the match, and it's like it's different with every fighter that fights other fighters. Like a fighter could be a lot better than another fighter, but their styles don't line up well,
MMA math's kind of funny because sometimes I've seen people break it down where a 125er beat this guy, and then it went all the way up to like Francis Ngannou somehow.
Yeah,
like guys beating each other. So it's like, so obviously your family and especially Christian is like very deep into your camp, helping you every day. What is some advice that Christian gave you throughout this camp or even the past that has really stuck with you through this camp?
Yeah, my brother, he's always given me a lot of advice. He's my head coach. But I'd say just a few things that I always end up coming back to is just remembering to breathe and remembering to just focus on the end goal. Because sometimes you get too wrapped up with it. Because like for example, in my fight with Ty, that was my first round with him was the first time I've ever gotten taken down in a fight. So it was just after that first round, like there was so much stuff going through my head. I was like, I can't believe I'm losing this fight. Like I wasn't able to keep that composure. And, I feel like my game would have been, I feel like there's a lot more to my game than what I showed in round 2. Just because, I wasn't able to keep that composure because it was my first time facing that kind of adversity. But I feel like since then, I'm a lot more level-headed. And if worst comes to worst, I'm going to be able to deal with it in this fight.
So you were a high school wrestler, correct?
Yeah.
You were a state champ?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Were you in high school? Were you like the guy were you undefeated when you won state? You weren't getting scored on much?
Yeah, my sophomore year I only placed 5th. So like freshman year, there was COVID, so. And then sophomore year, I only placed 5th at states. And then my junior year, I was undefeated my whole season except for this one match. I went up in weight to fight like a previous state champ, and then I lost that match by like a few points. But other than that, I went on and I won the state finals, and then I just didn't end up wrestling my senior year because that's when I signed with one.
Yeah, and I'm guessing obviously like in the gym other than Christian. I mean, I shouldn't say that. I don't know, but you're not getting scored on much, like takedown wise. So obviously, I'm sure like getting into an actual fight and you're in a situation where you're not feeling much has to be a weird feel. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely 100%. My brother, he's really the only person that ever scores on me and that gets the upper hand of me in rounds. And usually, I've been just able to. I feel like that's what's been building my confidence is because like. I've been doing so great in my room, and my training camp has been so amazing, and that was the first time I had to face that kind of adversity. I didn't deal with it as well as I should have.
Yeah, and that's cool that you're obviously recognize that by now. So that's awesome. I want to read you a quote from our last interview, and I think this is it's relevant just because it's your first fight after your first career pro loss. So this is what you said. My parents put us into MMA for self-defense, and I didn't really have the drive to become an MMA fighter and a world champion until my first nationals. And after I lost that, you took second place.
Yeah.
That's when it really lit a fire under me, and I was like, I don't like losing. And that's when I really started tearing through the youth competition. And how does that quote feel now after your first professional loss? And do you feel like you're going to go on that same exact path that you went during your youth career?
Yeah, I think that's actually funny to think back to because, yeah, I'm in a pretty similar situation as to when that first happened. But, yeah, I 100% believe that, since that fight with Ty, I feel like I've become a much more complete MMA fighter. And I feel like, I'm ready to get active after this fight, and I'm ready to, tear through the competition.
How old were you when you lost that nationals?
Oh, I think I was like 13. 8th grade,
Dude,
8th grade or 7th grade.
If you think about that, that's 6 years ago, dude. I mean, isn't that crazy to think like
Yeah.
where you were, where you are now, and then where you're
that was
going
like
to go?
my last loss. My last loss in like a MMA or striking competition was at that nationals.
Man, yeah, that is crazy.
Yeah.
That's cool just to see, like, loss, rocket ship, loss, rocket ship. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
So, kind of getting to the end part of this interview, what does success look like to you over the next 5 years with one championship?
Success for me looks like me getting in there, being as active as I can, racking up the wins, making my way towards the belt. I plan on, like I've been saying, I plan on staying active. I really want to start, progressing my career faster because, in the past 2 years, I've only had 4 fights. So definitely this year, I want to get 4 or 5 fights. And yeah, I really want to, become a big name in this industry.
Dang. 4 or 5 fights this year? That's the goal?
Yeah, that's the goal. Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to be active.
Yeah.
How long do you see yourself fighting with one?
I see myself, I'm just going to take it as it goes, you know what I mean? Depending on how my career progresses, how the organization progresses. But, so far I love one championship. Ever since I was a kid, it's been my dream to join one championship, seeing my older siblings, reach all the way up to the belt. So I think that's definitely, a goal of mine.
So you've mentioned before that you aim to be the greatest, one of the greatest to ever do it. How does this fight fit into that long-term vision?
I think that this fight will definitely show that, I'm still a legit lightweight contender and that, I'm on the path to get to the belt. So I can guarantee that Shozo doesn't want it as bad as I do. And I can't wait to go out and put on a show.
100%. Final question. What message do you want to send to the fans worldwide with your performance at One Fight Night 40 in Thailand, Bangkok?
The message I want to send to all my fans worldwide is that, I'm still a legit contender. Just because that fight happened does not mean that that's my entire game, and I plan to fully show how developed I am as a fighter now.
That's all I got for you. That was cool. Thank you for your time.
Yeah,
I
of course.
appreciate it.